Well, the federal government has all but dashed hopes of lifting international arrival caps for the time being, and that's bad news for Australians stranded overseas. And Catherine Jones is a travel advisor who's helping Aussies struggling to return home, and she joins me now. And Catherine, good morning. Welcome to breakfast.
Hi Lisa, how are you today?
Good, good. Tell us, what are people saying to you when they come to you for help?
We've had every situation that comes to us is a different story. So there's lots of individual needs out there. I think there's a bit of myth busting that needs to happen with the general public over stranded Australians. A lot of these people have always been wanting to come home in 2021. They're not necessarily people that have been waiting months and months. I consider this the second wave of travellers that are needing to come home. We've got people that are finishing their jobs, that they're at the end of their contracts. We've got health workers overseas that are needing to be repatriated at the moment. We've got families needing to come back from the US with their dogs and their kids. Really, there's no one story that all of our travellers have at the moment.
Well, there's a limit to how many can come home. So how are you able to help people?
So at the moment, if I'm honest, the next 6 weeks are tricky. And we not only have, and people, I think what we can do is explain the situation to people and give them options. So at the moment, we have obviously the arrival caps into Australia, but that's not just the one part of the story. We've got a mutant strain over in the UK that everybody seems to be extremely worried about. That's actually impacting a couple of our transit destinations as well. So one of the reasons that things are extra tricky at the moment is we literally have 2 carriers that are off the table and 2 supply routes coming through via Singapore and via Hong Kong at the moment, because we can't get people out of the UK to Asia. So all of those passengers that we had booked on those carriers, we are now looking for alternatives with. They're not going to be instant fixes. A lot of this is a long game for people, but what we try to do is be the explainer. What I have noticed with all of the press that's been coming through at the moment is that a lot of these people seem to think that they have to do it themselves. And if I'm honest, now is not the time to be booking online and crossing your fingers and hoping that you don't get bumped. By coming through to an advisor in Australia, we actually have all the up-to-date information at our fingertips. We have access to the 6 airlines that are travelling here at the moment. We also get access to the Qantas repatriation flights when they drop into the system. And I don't know that people overseas actually realise that there's a line here in Australia that they can access. We have a wealth of knowledge in our industry and we're happy to help.
How bad is it for the industry right at the moment? We're going to be speaking to someone a little bit later. The predictions are that so many people in the travel business are going to end up going out of business.
Yeah, look, I would say that 2020 has been a pretty traumatic year for the industry. The fact that we had $10 billion in refunds to facilitate for our clients, and just remember that 80% of international travel in Australia is booked through an agency, which is a statistic that seems to surprise a lot of people. Because we had $10 billion in refunds to facilitate, that actually indicates that our industry was booming before COVID. We were all thriving. Definitely, I had one of the best years ever as a business leader in the lead up to COVID. Moving forward, I think the government assistance package is very welcome and very necessary. And those of us that are going to make it have planted our flag at the end, and we have a plan in place to get through. But what we really need is for the Australian consumers and travellers out there, when they're more confident, they might not be confident at the moment with all the, we've got a lot of shenanigans going on with the borders at the moment, which always puts a different spin on things. When people are willing to book travel again, I think the message we're asking them is to be thoughtful and informed about where you're booking your travel. Don't necessarily just look at an app and think, oh, I'm going to book that because it's convenient. Go and find your local agent. I mean, you can come to Travel Associates. We've got businesses all around Australia, but there are agencies and independent agencies in every single town in Australia. These are the people that have bought the T-shirts for the under-12 soccer teams. They've also, provided sponsorship for fundraising things. And it would be really wonderful if people, kind of like the Buy Local from the Bush campaign, really understood that we need business to come out of here. We don't want to rely on government assistance. We actually want to be able to do what we do best, which is actually book beautiful travel for people.
We would all like to be travelling. And Catherine Jones, thanks for joining us this morning.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.